Nestled away in the hills of rebel country is Kilbrittain, a place not known for its size. Only 200 or so call it home. It is, however, a home to a community that loves its hurling, and one that has produced numerous stars that have shone for club and county. Dan O'Connell and Owen Sexton are counted amongst the many that have added to Cork's GAA pedigree over the years, but one of Kilbrittain's favourite sons still calls the village home. And it's here that he's dedicated himself to developing the next generation of rebel hurlers. Coaching is something you do with someone, not something you do to someone. This statement encapsulates the spirit of a man who has dealt with more than most. This player, this coach, this rebel that won't quit. Off the ball and board Gosh Energy are delighted to present Jamie Wall.
I think I know you now 15 years. I think we're around the track that long.
Coming up on that, alright, it was around 2008, 9, yeah. So 15, 16 years.
I suppose for me, you're just this precocious talent. You do everything so well. You've always done everything incredibly well, but you've always worn it really lightly. So from the outset, you know, this is your club, this is Kilbrittain, and you were identified as a brilliant talent underage, and you were catapulted into what was essentially a senior team, given massive responsibility, and you never ever flinched from it.
This is kind of where I played, and where we played underage, and we were lucky we had a good team kind of at our age. It was just a couple of us. There was two of us knocking around Cork development squads, which kind of meant that we played slightly higher grades, would say, than usual. Like, so we were playing Premier 2 or, you know, those kind of grades, which was a big deal for us because, like, you know, it's a small enough area, like, you know. There's a lot of good senior players there, like, you know, like the likes of Paddy Ryan and kind of good characters, and Owen Sexton, that were like, you know, had played for a long time, were still, you know, young enough, relatively speaking, but, you know, really kind of just treated us like adults and just made us feel like you're part of the team now, and it doesn't matter that you're essentially a child, like, you know, playing, and that was great. And, like, you know, like, it was grand as well, in the sense that, like, from playing on underage teams, you know, or like everyone that's played on, we'll say, a smaller team, like, you know, you play centre forward or centre back, and you have to do maybe a little bit more, whereas, you know, I got to go into that team and just go in and play corner forward, and, like, you know, I had the likes of Ross Cashman and Maurice Sexton and guys that had played minor and under 21 with Cork. They were doing the real work, you know. I was just kind of adding on in the corner, like, so I was it was a nice little change of kind of role, we'll say, from, because, you know, when you're playing underage, you're kind of, you know,
chief cook and bottle washer.
Well, yeah, like, you have to take a bit more responsibility, like, you know. And I suppose it was nice then coming up into a senior team where, like, yeah, your job was to try and score or to try and contribute to the team, but, like, equally, like, it didn't rise or fall on you, like.
You say that, but I think there was always pressure on you. You probably weren't aware of it, because if you look at that county final that you won, and it was the first time the club had won since 95, you know, you score 1-5 in the first game and you score 1-2 in the replay. Those are pretty big scores for a kid who's just, 17 and a half?
Yeah, I just turned 18, in July.
So that pressure, that's what I'm talking about. It sits so lightly with you.
Like I said, I never really felt that it was my job, like, at that age. Like, I never felt like I had to carry the can, because I genuinely didn't think I had. Like I was kind of like, you know, and I suppose that was probably why I felt that I, like, kind of maybe got those opportunities, because, like, you had someone else taking the
likes of
Morris would take the opposition's best back, like, you know, he'd get the punishment, like, and then I kind of come down the line a small bit, like, so you kind of get a slightly easier ride.
I suppose you were building a reputation, though, and in the space of kind of 2 years out in West Cork, you can build a reputation very quickly.
Like, in West Cork, even though it's a huge area, it's predominantly a football area. So, like, if you are a hurler here, you know there are a lot of good hurlers in West Cork. I'm certainly not saying there aren't, but I suppose it's just it's simple enough in that, like, we don't have as many. Like, we really only had 5 teams playing that weren't playing at the junior level. Like, so, like, straight away, like, you were in kind of the premier clubs around here, you know. So, like if you're playing at that level, you're going up, you're playing games in Páirc Uí Chaoimh and Páirc Uí Rinn. It's like, you know, it's a big deal around here, like, you know, for us, like, and that, like, so, you know, like I said, the hurling community in Carbery is kind of, it's it's kind of around here more so, and then like you've got other clubs who are doing a lot of work on it, like, but you know, it is predominantly in that kind of, we'll call it the greater Bandon area, like, you know, that kind of that belt, like. So
you go up to the city, you take on the big teams in the city, and 2 seasons later, 2013, you're playing Cloyne, Sidon Park you're in, you've Dermot O'Sullivan centre forward for Cloyne, you've Donal Cusack in goal for Cloyne, you end up man of the match performance, big shock, a big performance for a West Cork club.
Yeah.
To snipe a team that was senior.
Yeah, they were senior the previous year. Yeah, like that was probably our biggest win, like in terms of as a team, even though we had won the county, the grade below it a year or two before. I suppose like there's a little bit of a kind of inferiority complex or something, you know, down here, where it's like, you know, you hear stuff like about, you know, there's no hurling south of the viaduct and talk like that, we'll say. So like anytime you go under the viaduct going up to the city, you kind of felt a small bit, there was a bit of a kind of siege mentality, like, and then taking on Cloyne, like, is like, it wasn't that long beforehand that I had been to see them play 3 county finals in a row at senior level, like, you know, and, you know, you're going up watching, like, you're going up supporting Sully and Cusack in All-Ireland finals and stuff, like, so it wasn't that long before it that you were sitting on a terrace, you know, with the other 17, 18-year-olds, you know, supporting these guys, and then you're taking them on in a championship game. It's funny you say shock, like, because like I remember actually it was with you the day before. We went in to see the senior games in Park you're in.
And we were up in the press box.
We were up in the press box, and Ger Cunningham from the Bears had said to me, how will you get on tomorrow, whatever, and I just like felt, I was just like, oh, we're definitely going to win. Like, just, like, there's no way we're going to lose.
There's
like,
no fear there whatsoever.
But I don't know what it was, because like I've played other games where I've kind of got into them thinking like, God, we're going to be under pressure here. Like, and like, it's not that, like, I wasn't like that all the time, but it was just that game I felt like we were really well prepared. It was the best prepared I think we ever were for a game. Like, I was actually playing full forward at the time because Paddy had gotten injured. So like that probably helped too, to be fair. Like, player
Paddy O'Sullivan not available.
Paddy not available probably helped a small bit in hindsight. But like, Diarmuid was playing full forward and he'd scored 4 goals in one game. I think in the previous 3 games he'd scored something like 9 goals in the previous 3 league games. And I'll never forget, we were playing our last league game against Mallow in Kilbrittain. For some reason I think they were playing championship there or something, so they asked could we play it out there, and same thing for us if we're going as far as Mallow. Like, we were playing them, and at half time I think a few of their mentors were up on the sideline, and you remember Brendan decided he was going to send like a really not so discreet message to them, and he says, another thing, we're going to beat those fuckers next week, and you know why? Because they're a one-trick pony. And so like myself and Connor were trotting out, like the one trick of obviously being Diarmuid scoring 700 goals, like, and myself and Connor were trotting out for the second half, and I was going full forward and Connor was going centre forward, and he just goes, yeah, well, what a trick. So like, I was just really couldn't see straight for the next 5 minutes. I was just laughing, like. But I suppose like we never.
That's youth though, isn't it?
Yeah, we were 19, 20, like we weren't taking it, or we were 20, like we weren't taking it like too seriously. We weren't getting as worked up about the whole thing. We were just like, it's just a bit of crack.
We're talking about player burnout across the season for different players, and at that time, while you were shooting the lights out for Kilbrittain, you were also trying to play football for Cork, play hurling for Cork, minor, under 21. There was so much happening. Sometimes you can be a jack of all trades, master of none, or sometimes you can do it all, as you did. Is there moments or experiences from the football side of things that helped hurling, and vice versa?
Well, definitely, like the training, like the training it requires probably to play intercounty football more so than anything else. Like, I think like sometimes people get mixed up. They think like that, you know, oh, footballers are, you know, they're big and strong and that'll help them with the hurling. It's like it's not the actual playing of the football that helps you with the hurling. It's the actual preparation you do to be a footballer, like we say, like that. And especially then, you know, training at just a high level with Cork teams, we say with Brian Cuthbert and then later John Cleary, like, you know, 2 fairly good managers to have at minor and under 21 level.
You're a footballer, you're a hurler. You identify as both very strongly in West Cork and in Cork City. At any point, did you say, I should down tools on one side here? Never. Wasn't an option.
Oh no, 7 days a week.
You were going to
every
down
single
tools.
day, like every single day, you were downing tools in one, like depending on the form you were in
and whether you'd played well in one game or over
like,
another.
Oh, come here, like that. Had that conversation with myself every single day, and more as I got older. Like, and I was going all right at both. I started at both at under 21 in 2013, and someone actually did ask me that winter. I was like, you know, like, oh, what do you pick, whatever. I was like, what do I pick? whoever fucking rings me, like
who picks
whoever
me?
rings me, that's what I pick. Like I had no airs of graces about like thinking, oh, I want to be this one, like, you know, because I just wanted to get on it squad. I wasn't. I suppose I certainly was just saying, like, whoever rings me, that's who I'm gonna go with, like, you know, and like.
And ultimately, both sides called you.
At different stages, like
course,
I kind of got a little bit of a run with one when I was 18, 19, and then got a little bit of a run in 2014 with the footballers, we'll say. But like, you know, like it wasn't really something I suppose I was thinking overly deeply about.
From your point of view, then, what was your ceiling? What was your ambition?
Play senior for Cork for 2 or 3 years. Like,
Was that going to be enough? And was that why you were here and there and all around West Cork?
Yeah, like I like to think that I've a bit of a, you know, like that I'm smart, that I'm relatively an intelligent fella, and like a bit of self-awareness always goes a long way. Like I kind of always knew, like I was never going to be one of those people that broke in at 19, 20, 21. I wasn't, you know, you have to be very good to make it in Cork at all. And I'm not kind of, this isn't like false modesty or anything like that, but equally, like, you have to be exceptional to make it at those ages. And I knew I wasn't at those guys' level, you know. So like for me, it was just a case of like peak years, 24 to 27, 28, like if I could get in to either senior squad for that spell and be successful there, that's what I think my ceiling was, like, and there's no guarantee we even got to that.
You obviously navigated your way to doing that by going to Mary I.
Yeah, it's probably a bad career move at the outset.
Well, I don't think so. I think everyone at the time, you know, who had aspirations to be a senior hurler, a senior footballer for Cork, and all of the other counties, saw it as a way of being able to dovetail the two. Have a career and then have, you know, a comfortable
it's about teaching.
window.
Yeah, for sure. In terms, I suppose, the one thing back then that it probably, initially when I went to Mary I, that it didn't offer was the third level, the premier third level competitions.
Sure,
because
the Fitzgibbon wasn't.
We were Ryan Cup hurling and we were Trench Cup football, you know,
Yeah.
so like you weren't exactly appearing, you know, in the Sigerson or the Fitz. Like.
No.
Jamie was to captain the Kilbrittain team against Valley Rovers in the Cork Intermediate Hurling Championship in June of 2014. But he would never arrive at the game.
It's like I got my exams in June 23rd.
Yeah.
And got the results that day, and then that was a Monday. Played with Cork Intermediate Hurlers on the Wednesday, and then on the Saturday we were supposed to play with the club. Well, we were playing with the club. I was supposed to be playing, but instead I was carted up to CUH with an abscess on my spine, and kind of between the jigs and the reels over the next while, ended up kind of in Beaumont Hospital first, and then in the National Rehab in Dunleary.
I don't know if everyone understands the gravity of what you went through then.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
being
not
in...
sure do I myself, to be honest, at times. But
I think being in Beaumont with you, and this would be something which I would remember vividly, is I'd leave Beaumont. I'd drive home and I'd cry.
Yeah.
Because I was so scared for you.
Yeah.
How did you survive?
Shouldn't really have a choice. I know that sounds very flippant, like, but it's kind of true. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something thinking back, I don't think I thought overly deeply about it. Like, I don't think I was thinking, like, you know, very broad spectrum long term. I think I was kind of like thinking, like, I was going to say one foot in front of the other, but like, you know, I was thinking kind of like getting through the next hour, and I wasn't even just thinking about it. I was just kind of like, you know, it was like I said, it just didn't feel like a choice. I was kind of like, what do I have to do now? Do you know? And I suppose that was kind of, I'd always say, like, there was probably, I got a lot of help from, we'll say, you know, previous mindsets with teams and sport and that, where it was kind of like, you know, you were just applying that notion of, like, you know, when something is going wrong, like, how do you fix it? I used to dig in and, you know, like, you train harder and work harder and just, you know, kind of maybe it's not the most healthy sometimes, like, we'll say that kind of, like, but, you know, I would also say that it's not the most unhealthy, you know, to kind of compartmentalize and just kind of be like, you know, there's a time for me to go deal with this in certain ways, but, like, there's a survival element too, where you're just like, I don't have, like,
it was easy to work.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like
like, God, I hate kind of saying, sometimes I say it out loud, you kind of think like, God, that sounds very backward. Like, it's not that I didn't have time to be upset or think about it, but I was kind of like, if I actually do that, I'll drown in it. So like right now is not the time for it. I need, and I think like over the last couple of years, I've gotten better at the actual, maybe every so often examining how I'm feeling about things. Like, but in that immediate time, you're actually better off not trying to process it immediately and just kind of like, be like, what can I do now to actually just get through today? Like, and not think too deeply or get too into those kind of things. Because I think
So you're process focused in that time.
Yeah, you have to be. I think you have to be. I think it's like, it's not. It's like, a time of big stress and stuff like that is not actually a time for introspection and reflection. Like, it's a time for just getting through it, and then when you're in a little bit of a better place down the line, you maybe can examine the complicated feelings over years. Like, and it's still like. 6 days time is the anniversary of it,
9 years.
So but every year it's funny, every year I end up doing something, not by design, I end up doing something on the anniversary. So in 2016 I was in Lyon at Ireland France, and I didn't realise until I was actually there. I was with one of the lads and I was like, oh Christ, this is the weekend of the thing I'd just forgotten about, because I was so busy trying to organise getting tickets.
And you were
for the
driving
game
the lads.
and driving the lads from Calais to Lyon. I'd totally forgotten about it. You get better at kind of just driving on through it. And then there's other times when now we say we're talking about it, it's you end up kind of analysing it and maybe thinking about it. Maybe tonight, sit down and there'll be a bit of a kind of, like I said, an introspection or a reflection, and you'll think about the positive things since and the negative things since, and but I think, like you said, at the time, you use the word survive. I think that's, you just, at the time, you're just it's I need to survive here now, and there's no time for getting upset, because there'll be, if you get through it, you've the rest of your life for it, so I don't know, and like I said, I hate saying it sometimes in the sense that I don't want it to sound flippant, or that, that it's you just fucking do it, you just have to, the first 2 years I couldn't go to any of the club games here. I didn't go to a club game for a year and a half of my team, we'll say, because it just was too hard. I'll never forget the lads were playing championship on the first game I planned to go to. The lads were playing Ballincollig inside in Bandon, and it was the following year, and Bandon's only 10 minutes from here. That afternoon I kind of, roundabout game time, just got this all-merciful migraine headache, the worst thing ever, and more or less the minute the game passed, I was fine. It was all in my head, my body was just saying, no, we're not able for this, we're not going, and that was hard, because it was actually the first game the lads had won since, and I know, chatting to one or two of them only recently, one or two of them telling me, one of my best friends, telling me how emotional it was for them to kind of, because they had, I'd kind of forgotten, they had gone through something as well, where their teammate and friend and captain, all of a sudden, the day of a match, they didn't even know, they were playing the match, and coming into the dressing room after that day when it happened, and people were like, Jamie's in hospital, that's what's actually after happening. The lads kind of were there's no information, it was a vacuum for them. This was 12 months later, and we had been relegated that year on the back of it, and we'd lost the last 3 games, and I suppose for them, they had kind of won a game, and it was just, things were kind of coming right again. So becoming normal for them. So, but it took me a bit longer to actually get to any of the games, any of the lads' games, the games that I thought I could still be playing here. Whereas I suppose I'm taking a long way around saying basically that the Fitzgibbon was the first thing that I kind of gravitated towards, that didn't carry the same pain, because when I was going to support Mary I in 2015, I was gone. Like I said, I was gone anyway. So it was really easy for me to actually go support the lads, because they were my former teammates. But I was done anyway. And then, it was probably natural enough. The 2016, it was the first team that I kind of thought geez, I'd like to get involved there. With the Fitzgibbon team there. And that was kind of probably when it came to being involved in sports again. I suppose that was when I kind of maybe kind of just realised that for me, it's just going to be, it was always going to be hurling or football. It ended up being hurling, because that's just where, funny enough, I spoke earlier about, I was I was going to do wherever I get a break,
Jamie, although confined to a wheelchair, is still a hurler at heart. With that, opportunities began to present themselves, where he could bring that tactical acumen that stood him so well in his playing days into a new role. Jamie can't watch sport without breaking it down into data, analysing, and then learning from it. He creates, debates, and implements new strategies that his teams take on with the singular aim of making them better hurlers.
You rang me and told me that Mary I had a deal on the table for you to take over from Eamon Cregan. And when you rang me, I went, amazing.
So like I got involved in 2016 with Eamon and Gavin and the lads and whatever, and like I had said it years previous. I'd said it in 2014. I said it to David Reedy, the current Limerick hurler. I said to David after we lost in 2014, I said like, you're going to win it in 2016 when you're all in fourth year. That's the year you're going to win it. Like, and at the time I was saying to him, we were on the tear after losing against UCD or something, and I was kind of saying like, I was like, geez, I must try and figure out some sort of masters that I can just slip back into the college, because I was like, that's the team that'll win it, because I'd seen like Ronan and Maher and all these guys were in first year, and I was like, when they come through, like they'll be a serious. And then just kind of as luck would have it, like the winter 2016 the lads were playing in UCC in the league, and I was on to one or two of the guys involved, and I said I'd come up and see it, and they were like, you know, would you like to get involved? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm not doing anything else. So I got involved, and then obviously Eamon actually retired the day of the Fitzgibbon when we finally won it, like, and just, like there was just a real vacuum, like kind of, and I just remember like later on in the week, we'll say during the celebrations, I sat down with one of the other players, Sean Lennon, just playing for Galway at the moment now, and myself and Sean were like, he was like, geez, like who's going to take over next year? And I was kind of like, what kind of a team do we have, like, you know? And two of us just sat down and we kind of like picked a little mock team on my phone. I could still have it in my notes somewhere, but like I was kind of like, geez, it's a good enough full team there. It's like, leave that with me. And went
See,
away,
what I love
and,
about
like,
you is that idea at your age would have been so far-fetched for anybody else, but you were so precocious that you didn't see that as a barrier, the age being a barrier to you taking that position from somebody as widely known as Eamon Cregan.
Yeah, well, he took the job the year I was born. So that's actually a fact. Like I remember saying it to Kira, his daughter, who was one of the people in charge of sport, like, and when she said, you know, like, just, did you know Eamon took the job in 92? And I just goes, yeah, well, there isn't a child being born now that's going to take this off me. Like, I will be gone. I'll be gone before whenever a child being born in 2017 is of age. But I'm still there now, so 8 years later, 9 years later nearly now. But like,
So you're a lecturer of hurling now?
we won't go, no, but like, I don't know what the official title is. I'm just inside there. But like,
But that was where
that was
the
where
Cork
kind of
came back.
Yeah, big time. And that was the first team that, like, you know, first team I managed, I took over. Like I'd been involved with 21s, the club here the year before, but like 21s in West Cork is very much a 1 or 2 game affair, you know. Like,
But you say that, but you were ringing me and you had the same game plan, same process for those under 21 hurlers then as you do for winning a Fitz. You were brilliant at process.
Yeah, like, but I like it, like, you know, and like I like that element of it. I suppose probably one of the things, like I spoke about, like, where I never considered myself to be one of the top players, we'll say it, you know, to go Harry Redknapp on it, like, you know, like just a good player, like and like for me, like in terms of coaching, like, so like when I was trying to improve as a player, like you'd always be kind of putting plans together and trying to, you know, whereas like for some people it came a lot easier, you know, like whereas I was like, if I'm going to get anywhere near those top guys, I need to work really hard and I need to have a plan. So like it was kind of like that was always the way I did everything anyway, you know, like whether it was study or whether it was like if I'm going to do something, like I nearly spend as much time planning what I'm going to do as actually doing it after, like, and so like that side of management coaching kind of appealed to me anyway, you know.
You know, the way you spoke at the start about it taking 1.5 years for you to be able to go home to your club to watch a home game, and using the Fitzgibbon, I suppose, as a bridge to get there. And now you've gone full circle and you're the head and tail of the management team in Kilbrittain for, this is your 3rd season? Fourth season. It obviously means something to you to have set your stall here for so long when you've had other opportunities that might have been more lucrative, you know.
Lucrative?
Lucrative.
Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, we are. But
I
seriously,
can neither confirm nor deny. No, look, yeah, like it, but like it's your club.
How do you go back there then? What was the mind switch?
we got relegated in 2019, and I suppose I just felt that I was going to be around anyway. I knew that I was going to be around for a year or two, because I was in college in UL. I was kind of committed to being, around. So I felt like I should, get involved. And I suppose I'd always have a kind of I'd have a very strong feeling of like, I don't like maybe people slating managers, at club level, especially in your own club, because I'd always say like, until you're willing to actually put the time in yourself and go do it, you shouldn't, whether good or bad, you should never say something negative about the people that are putting in that time. And I think like, from my perspective, I was like, I'm now in a place where I am around for the next couple of years. Now is the time to put in the time, because I suppose, at the time I was pursuing a law degree in UL. I kind of knew that further down the track there'd be probably having to move to Dublin for Blackhall and things like that. So I wouldn't be able to put in the time down the line. Whereas if I am now, I should. It's kind of a like a bit of duty like as well. And more than anything, I wanted to. Like I felt ready to get involved with my club, which is something that means more to me than being involved anywhere else. That's the fact for everyone.
And if you're on the record as saying delicacy is dishonesty. So, as a player, and you were talking about coming in and out of teams, and you weren't necessarily the Conor Lehan always going to be in the starting 15. Now as a manager, looking back as a player, how much power or control did you need to have as a player then? Did you need to know you were going to be coming on in matches? Like, as a manager now, do you identify the players that are going to be coming on beforehand? Do you tell them that they will be coming into the game or they won't be coming into the game? Or do you have to leave a door slightly open? How much delicacy is required?
Probably more than I thought at the time. But I think, again, there's a way, I suppose, like what I was referring to maybe was like when someone comes to you for feedback, in the middle of a training block, don't just plumb-off them and tell them you're doing great if you don't think that. I think when you get to around match day, it's like, even if a player isn't going to get used, you don't want anyone that has even a chance of getting used in that headspace, because, like on match day, like if it's a minute and a half, like someone has to contribute for a minute and a half. Like say for example, like one of your players gets a cramp in the last 2 minutes of a game, and the referee is saying puck out the ball. But it's so like if you have a player who say has to come off, it's like there's only 2 minutes here, but I need this guy to contribute for 2 minutes. Like, you need people on match day to be, I suppose, not thinking he's just after saying I'm lazy or I'm this or that. Whereas like, but equally, if you're in the middle of a training block and the player's not playing and he comes up to you and says like, why am I getting game time? I think you have to be able to give him a facts-based, straight answer. Like, and there's no point being delicate there. I think you give them facts. Like, and I suppose like when I say there's no point being delicate, like I don't mean you have to be rude. Like you just be straight. You can be direct and talk about someone's performance without talking about them as a person. I think. Like, I think that's probably where maybe some people get it wrong sometimes. Like where like, we don't like we the language has to be kind of all about what they're doing or not doing, and not about what they are or aren't. Like, because people are wired so differently. Like, and how you deliver the facts to Sarah or Will might be totally different. You might need to be more delicate with Sarah, but she still needs facts. And you might need to be more direct with Will, but he still needs the facts. If you don't tell someone the truth, you're being dishonest to them. Like, if you don't actually give them facts. But I suppose maybe over time you kind of learned a small bit of kind of maybe diplomacy. To use another D word, it's all D words. Diplomacy, maybe a bit more of that.
The future is bright for this man from Kilbrittain, and Cork hurling is brighter with him. We still have decades to enjoy what Jamie Wall is going to bring to this incredible sport, and hurling is all the better for it.